Good afternoon, Lasalyans. It is that time again where we will be graced with inspirational people as we welcome this year's Kamalayang Lasalyano. This year, we're celebrating powerful women leaders. We hope that everyone is as excited as we are to learn and listen from this memorable event.
With this, the officers of Comelec would like to extend their gratitude to students for allotting their time to be here and attending this event. To officially start the program, let's grace this event with an opening prayer followed by the singing of the national anthem.
Let us put ourselves in the most holy presence of God. Lord, we thank you for gathering us to celebrate this event. Grant us your blessing as we open our hearts and minds to seek purpose and will in making the earth a better place for everyone. May you continuously shower us with your unconditional love to share it with other souls. And strength for us to stand with the truth as we face the challenges and to keep your promises to people and every creation. Amen.
Mayang magiliw, kaya sa silangan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka masisi. Sa dagat at mundong sa simoy at sa langit mamahal, may nilagang tulad, awit sa panlayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidinig. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw na luwal, ating pagsinta mo ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya ng may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
We would like to express our sincere gratitude to the team behind this program, to the De La Salle Comic family, De La Salle Strategic Communications, College Student Activities Office, and of course to our De La Salle community. We appreciate your presence in this event. I think marami sa inyo ang curious or nagtataka kung anong ganap sa event na ito. Well, kasama na kami dyan sa mga excited.
Tama ka dyan, Audrey, but we assure you that this event will provide you with much learning to widen your knowledge and perspective because we invited notable women to enlighten us with their wisdom. Hindi lang yan, we also have a lot in store for you, kaya excited na ako. Ikaw ba, Audrey, excited ka na ba?
Oo naman, partner, excited na ako. So ano pa bang hinihintay natin? Let's begin this event. My name is Audrey Panaligan, Secretary for the Vice Chairperson of Institutional Affairs of De La Salle Comelec.
And I'm Eliza Camacho, the DLSL Chairperson of Comelec.
We are your hosts for today. Welcome to Kamalayang Lasalyano
2023.
Hashtag
Your story, women in public service. Wow, that sounds promising, partner, no? Can you believe it? It's already Women's Month and I'm very honored to be part of the celebration. And we appreciate the duty of women of our lifetime.
I am also pleased to be a part of this celebration, partner. But before we begin this program, let us all be reminded of the following guidelines. First, all the participants are expected to start and finish the program, so make sure na nakapag-register kayo before attending the program. Second, the use of offensive words or inappropriate actions and attitudes is prohibited during the event and will be reported to the College Discipline Office. Third, everyone is encouraged to participate in the program. And last, only those who evaluated the program will be given a certificate of appreciation and attendance. We will give an evaluation form right away after the end of the program.
We expect all the attendees to follow the rules, and with that, we would like to call on Ms. Justin Gadian, the Con-Commissioner of PLSL Comelec, and the activity head to grace us with her welcoming remarks.
To address you, along with the DLSL Comelec, on the occasion to open Kamalayang Lasalyano 2023 #Her Story Women in Public Service. For this March, we're all gathered here to celebrate the achievements of women and girls, not just in our country, but across the world. As you may have seen through the theme of this program, we highlighted the phrase, "Her story matters." It is to emphasize not only the significance of recognizing the experiences and viewpoints of women, but also to illuminate pioneering female role models that inspire and empower the youth in our nation. Our country now bears a weight of issues that may subdue one's hopes and dreams, but these women who commit themselves in the name of service and duty are making changes to reform the systems for the development of our community and our people. It is no doubt that we should include this to our Her Story as we commemorate our guest speakers who demonstrate independence, empathy, respect, and leadership. Happy Women's Month!
Thank you, Ms. Yasmin, for the welcoming message. Grabe yung message niya, no, partner, para sa ating viewers. Her story matters.
Ayan, agree din ako sa sinabi ni Miss Justin. So time na para ma-recognize natin ang ating pioneering women role models in public service, ang ating mga girl boss in millennials term. Now, before we introduce our first speaker, we would like to test if ready na ba makinig ang ating viewers throughout this event. So with that, let us do a quick icebreaker. So all you have to do is read the question that is presented on your screens and share your answer in the comment section. Ayan, chance nyo na. Pwede kayo mag-comment dyan. How do you feel, guys? Ayan, ikaw ba, Ate Archie, in one word, how do you feel? And how would you describe the female leaders and public servants today?
In one word for female leaders, I think they are strong in naman because of all the adversities they face. They still bear the strengths and ideal qualities that we're looking for in a leader. What about you, partner?
Ayan, pero bago ako, nakita ko dito sa comment section, ayan, ang dami nagko-comment. So sabi ni Nick Bova, powerful daw. Agree ako. I think powerful nga, di ba, partner? And sabi naman ni Jan Margot Chavez, wise. Ayan. So sabi naman ni Dave, eto, sabi ni Dave, phenomenal. Oh. Ayan. So para naman sa akin, ayan, inagawan kasi ako. Ayun. Pero yung para sa akin, brave. Uh,
Yan, tama. Brave. Tapos ang interesting na sagot ng ating mga Lasallians. Sana ganyan din ang energy nyo for icebreakers mamaya dahil exciting prizes tayo in store for you guys. If you guys are curious about our prizes, make sure to stick with us throughout the program. And with that, mukhang ready na sila makinig, partner. Ano sa tingin mo?
Ayan, so to formally introduce our first speaker, she is a junior executive vice chairperson from 2020 to present. She is the externals associate vice president from 2017 to 2018. She is a documentations and publications head in 2018, the AM Plug project head in 2016 to 2017, photography duty deputy 2016 to 2017, and Ateneo Musicians Pool, the relief operations coordinator for Leyte in 2021, the head for the Run for Your Life Party Cause You're Alive in 2015 to 2016, the president for International Order of the Rainbow for Girls Assembly Number 19 in 2015 to 2016, the president for Jobs Daughters International Tacloban Bethel UD in 2016 to 2017, the student associate in Ateneo Legal Services Center in 2021, the teacher's assistant in Ateneo de Manila Grade School in 2018, the photo staffer in 2017-2019 in the Gidon and Ateneo de Manila University, And she is also a violinist in the first violin section in 2016 to 2019, the Ateneo Blues Symphony Orchestra, concertmaster in 2018 at the Asian Development Foundation College, and she won Grand Cross of Colors awardee in Sangyao Award for the Arts. She currently serves as the representative of the Youth of Luzon and the National Youth Commission. We are honored to have you today, Commissioner Rina Vivian Pineda.
Ayan. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon to all the participants, those watching on the stream. Thank you to all to the organizers for inviting me here.
Ayan. So in order for us po to have a smooth discussion with you, Commissioner Rina, ayan, we will be presenting the following topics for you to share your insights. So may we start na po? Ayan.
All right. Okay, so I prepared a short talk lang for today. I hope that I have everyone's attention, and I'll be reading your comments if there are any. I have view naman of the comments. So again, good afternoon everyone, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. So you see on your screens right now is a question, diba? So what is the essence of being a woman? So wag kayong mag-alala, hindi naman to Miss World or Binibining Pilipinas. Hindi tayo contestants ng Miss Universe ngayon. But I guess we can all attest that this is a commonly asked question in a lot of beauty pageants. And I just short kwento also that the first time I heard this was when I was in elementary. It was the final Q&A portion, and as Q&As go, the venue was tensing up. Each portion of the venue, all cheering for their own candidates, for different candidates. So everyone was shouting, drums were being drummed, were being hit. So the judge tasked to ask the question turned on his mic and then uttered the words, "What is the essence of being a woman?" And here, the contestant took a deep breath and then silence. So at my young age, that question stuck with me. It made me wonder first on what that question even meant. I mean, I was around 6 or 7 years old, and I couldn't even fully understand what they meant by the word essence. And on the car ride home, I asked the adults around me what the answer was. And they told me that the usual answer for that question is that, the essence of a woman is simply to bear a child. And at that point, I couldn't really grasp the weight of that answer. And for better or for worse, I just accepted it at my young age of 6. And I carried it with me for when I was growing up. Throughout the years, though, I learned through experience and through other people, and I realized gradually that this answer is born out of the social construct that has imprisoned women since the beginning of time. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but there is a show called Fleabag, written by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and it's a good show. I recommend it. But anyway, in this show, there's a line that says, "Women are born with pain built in. It's our physical identity, period pain, sore boobs, childbirth. We carry it within ourselves and throughout our lives." And this quote is true. We see this throughout our history. Women weren't even allowed to vote in the Philippines until 1937. 1937 sounds so far, but it has only been 86 years that have passed since 1937. That's about the age of one of our grandparents, meaning it has only been one generation. And in World War II, we had the cases of comfort women who, up until now, are still fighting for their rights. Another example, in this case of Drilon versus Garcia, a prominent decision by the Supreme Court concerning RA 9262, or the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act. Here, the Supreme Court stated that just around 2 decades ago, female violence comprised more than 90% of all forms of abuse and violence. And recently, we have issues in foreign countries about governments taking decisions on reproductive rights away from women, the very people who own those bodies. Let's not go far. In our day-to-day lives, there are a lot of experiences that are unique only to women. And I'm sure almost all, if not all of us women here have been catcalled. You know, you're just walking casually there, wearing your jeans, your shirt, and suddenly you hear someone whistling or shouting at you. And how many of us here have felt unsafe walking at night for the fear of being sexually violated? How many of us have had to experience being mansplained to by people we sometimes even consider as friends? At hindi tayo nagtatapos dyan. On top of all of that, and it seems like in almost everything that we have to do, an unreasonable standard is set upon us. And since na-mention naman na natin, let's look at, beauty pageants. Let's go back to beauty pageants. These amazing women are expected to have flawless skin, toned bodies, go to the gym 7 days a week, squeaky clean backstories, life stories, be an advocate for world peace, for women's rights, etc., or other issues. All of that while walking in 6-inch heels, and not just that. On top of walking in six inch heels, you have to do it with grace. You have to do it with elegance, and you have to have an IQ as high as one that allows them to flawlessly answer complicated questions in 60 seconds or less. Kumbaga, minsan yung tinatanong sa kanila parang, how do you solve world peace? Tapos bibigyan ka ng 60 seconds to answer the question. Parang, diba? It's an unreasonable standard. And even if they tick all or most of those boxes, they still receive an undeserved and unrelenting bashing from a lot of people. This impossible standard can be seen not just in beauty pageants and as evident as it is there, but also in countless other fields as well. We see this in the entertainment industry with our actresses, with our female influencers, in labor sectors, and even in politics or government work. And it seems like for women, she needs to work just a little bit harder. She needs to put in a little more effort just to get the same credit, attention, and recognition. She needs to look a little bit better, a little more put together, a little more strict to be respected, a little more presentable, and so on. And sabi pa ni, si Maring Taylor Swift, since kaka-kick off lang ng Eras tour niya kahapon, I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man. And I'm so sick of them coming at me again if I was a man. So, however, despite all these challenges and unreasonable standards, women have still broken that glass ceiling. Despite all the odds stacked against them, women have fought to break that glass ceiling. And at the top of my head, we have AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from the United States, Jacinda Ardern. And in our country, let's not go far, we have Senator Risa Ontiveros and our very own former Vice President Leni Robredo, and I'm sure there are a lot more. All of us women have our own stories, and I know that I still have a long way to go, but please allow me to share with you a little bit of what I have gone through, my milestones, my journey thus far. So my journey started as early as when I was in elementary, when I would be assigned as the leader of our Friday Sweepers group class. Bakit Friday? Tatanungin nyo. Hindi naman dahil sobrang galing ko magwalis every Friday, diba? Ito dahil apelido ko Pineda. So parang sabi ng teacher, alphabetically arranged siya. So ikaw na leader, Friday, Pineda. It wasn't really a big deal. My teacher assigned the role to me, and I was in charge of making sure my classmates did their tasks as well. And, eventually I was elected class president for first grade as nominated by my classmates. And from then on, it became a practice. And every year I would get nominated and elected as class president until my last year of high school. And eventually I was elected as Supreme Student Council president of our high school department. And during that last year, and at that point, the Supreme Student Council was only by name. It hadn't had a project or activity in years prior to our term. So when I assumed office, I immediately got to work. We had an activity for almost every single event. Buwan ng Wika, we had Teachers Day, talent shows, Christmas decoration contests, and many more. And we also were able to do outreach programs outside of school. And we were so bibo, high school bibo students, to the point that my co-officers and I would be in school every single day, even on Sundays. And my co-officers and our supportive teachers all helped in getting us through that time. And for that year, I was awarded the leadership award of our school. After high school, while waiting to go into college, I became the first president of an organization when it was being revived. We started out with only 4 active members left. Previous slide. Yan. Nagsistruggle yung ano. Previous slide. Ay, hindi siya na-download. Anyway, yan. There's supposed to be photos there. Yeah, so we started out with only 4 active members left, but that number quickly increased to 15 in a matter of 3 months. We were able to do multiple fundraising events, outreach programs, team building activities, and other projects, all while trying to reestablish the organization within. And I was in the province at that time, and I was about to fly to Manila in about 2 months for college when we decided to do this big event. It would be the first zombie fun run that went straight to a street party, the imagination, diba? That went straight to a street party in our province. It was a big pill to swallow, especially considering that the organization was composed of college students, high school students, around the youth, young people, which it was a big pill to swallow again, and we did not realize it at the time that we were conceptualizing it. We were enthusiastic about being able to do this event, and we didn't realize how much work it would take to actually make it happen. And true enough, in my first few months of college, I would be flying in and out of Manila and back to the province just to get things in order. It was a really stressful time, but we pulled through. We ended up earning enough to donate computer sets to 2 different public schools in the northern barangays of Tacloban City. And if the stress that we experienced wasn't enough, we decided to do it again for the second time. Kumbaga, ginusto na namin to. This time, we were grateful and we were lucky, fortunate to have earned enough to donate a classroom to one of the public schools in Tacloban City. And on a side note, I really learned a lot about leadership during these 2 events. Don't get me wrong. It was one of the most stressful times. There we go. Most stressful times of my life. But I could really talk for an hour straight just discussing the leadership traits and knowledge that I was able to gain during that time. I was balancing all of this with adjusting in Manila, adjusting in college. And I honestly, with all my heart, can say that I could not have made it without the support of all the people around me, my co-members, our adult supervisors, and the like. Now, after those 2 events, I was excited to work with more on undergrad organizations. And luckily, Ateneo was filled with various interest organizations. And, the org life, as they say, had a lot of opportunities for leadership. The first one that I applied to was as a photography deputy for for the documentation and publications department of the Ateneo Musicians Pool. And at that point, I was shy and I was not as confident yet. And when the opening came up, I wanted to apply, but I was having second thoughts. And so I ended up I ended up getting the position, but I owe it to the head at that time who messaged me and asked me if I was interested in applying. That person messaged me without assuring me that it was a sure thing. I still had to go through the whole interview process and all that. But that simple message opened the door for me. After that, every single year I'd apply to a higher position. And eventually, in my last year of college, I was working as the vice president for project management and was overseeing 7 projects and over 15 project heads for the duration of 1 year. And when I started going to law school, I tried to lie low for the first 2 years. Sabi ko, pahinga muna. Pagod na ako since high school. Dire-diretso yung ginagawa natin. Focus muna ako sa pag-aaral. Pero long story short, hindi kinaya. Kinain ko lang yung mga sinabi ko. On my second year, I joined Lex Athena Victoria Society. And when we were doing the process of getting in, I acted as our class leader. And when we finished our process, I became our bar operations understudy, and eventually the bar operations head last year. I also acted as the lead coordinator of our relief operations in Leyte when Typhoon Odette happened. And as always, like I always mention, I couldn't have done it without the help of my co-members and my co-heads. And on my third year, just last year, third year of law school, I was given the opportunity to serve as the commissioner representing Luzon of the National Youth Commission. When I started, I emphasized to myself and to the people around me that we will do our best to serve our Filipino youth, as cheering or as etchus as that may sound. But I am very sincere when I say that. We won't do anything just for the sake of doing something. Every act, every policy, every program or activity that we would do would be rooted in need, and will be done to the best interest of the people who will participate and the people who will be affected by it. Again, it sounds very maechos, but that is our guiding principle. We will not let the Filipino taxpayers' money go to waste. Balancing this with my fourth year of law school, running from meeting to class to event to meeting, the mental toll that it takes to be able to deal with all kinds of people who are rooting for you, and there are other people who are rooting for you to fail. Hindi natin maiiwasan yan, but we pull through because this is our mandate. Our mandate is to serve is to serve the Filipino youth. And to be honest, I'll tell you na, since onti lang naman tayo dito, 'di ba? Sa mga nanonood, this whole thing hasn't been the easiest, but I really could not be here right now if not for my staff, Annika and Divine, and all the organizations and volunteers that have helped us get through everything the past year. And with all of that said, as hard as it is to believe, I was a very shy kid, to the point na wala akong kinakausap na tao. I would not talk to them until they talked to me first, or until they approached me first. So if you noticed, I always mentioned the people around me after every milestone that I shared. And I mean it when I say that I owe a lot of whatever I have done or achieved to the people around me. My mom, my teachers, my classmates, colleagues, co-members of organizations, our social civic organizations, NYC, staff, volunteers, and more. And now I know what's on your mind. Actually, parang inassume ko na lang kung ano yung mga nasa isip nyo. Pero outside of this, huwag kayong mag-assume kasi bawal yon. Pero ngayon, pwede tayong mag-assume. Anyway, inisip nyo na possibly, where are the hardships and barricades that you were talking about earlier in this talk that, women have to go through? But wala kang shinare na ganon. So, wala lang. Gusto mo lang i-share yung mga nagawa mo, ganon. Nagyayabang ka lang. Hindi naman sa ganon. I promise this has a point. So, please bear with me for a little more. So, when I got the invitation for this talk, I really tried to dig deep and recount my experiences. I asked myself, has gender been a huge factor? Has it been a huge barricade for me? Have I been deprived of opportunities for the sole reason that I was a woman? I dug deep and I reflected hard, and my conclusion was parang hindi. No, parang walang ganun na nangyari sa akin. And that is not because magaling ako, and that's not because I'm one of a kind or yung paborito ni Lord, ganun. Hindi ganun. It's because I was afforded the privilege to be protected from these limitations. From misogyny, from the hardships or barricades that come with being a woman. Although, of course, hindi may iwasan na syempre meron pa rin onting nakakalusot na microaggressions here and there. But generally, I have been lucky enough to be shielded from those. I go back to my stories earlier. It has always been the people around me that have empowered me and have shaped me to be who I am today. I was not born like this. As I told you, I was very shy. I was made to be like this. I was shaped through experiences, lessons, and the people. And just to drive the point, kumbaga, again, I started out really shy, and it was the same privilege that brought me out of my shell, that gave me the opportunity to learn and to be the leader and the woman that I am today. Anyone talaga, anyone can be great if given the right opportunities, if given the right privilege, if given the right circumstances. And again, it really just all boils down to privilege. But this is what we have to remember. Unfortunately, not everyone has the same privilege. Just because some of us don't experience it doesn't necessarily mean that no one else is experiencing it. Some amongst the many struggles women have to live through are reported by the UN, and these data that I'm about to share with you is only as of 2020. So, in terms of power and decision making, women held only 28% of managerial positions globally in 2019, almost the same proportion as in 1995. Next, less than 50% of working age women are in the labor market, a figure that has barely changed over the last quarter of a century, according again to the UN report. Unpaid domestic and care work falls disproportionately on women. Around one third of women worldwide have experienced physical and or sexual violence by an intimate partner. And 18% have experienced such violence in the past 12 months. Globally, an estimated 137 women are killed by their intimate partner or a family member every single day. Now, generations of women before us have been working hard in order that their hardships would not have to be experienced by the generations after them or by us. A lot has been done that cannot be discounted. That a lot has been done. There has been progress, but there is a lot more work to do. Sure, they have paved the way for us, and it is our turn now to pave the way for others. So the question now is, who can make this happen? Next slide, please. Now, so take a hard look at your screens right now. It's a black screen. So, sino yung nakikita nyo na reflection sa screen nyo? That is yourselves, your image. We are the key to make a better future for the generation of girls after us. There was a point there in the invitation asking to talk about my motivation for public service. You asked me what my purpose is or what my motivation is in public service, and it is to work hard enough to afford everyone the same privilege that I have been afforded. And as a final note, we go back to the question I posed at the beginning of this talk. What is the essence of being a woman? And throughout the years, I realized through experiences that it is not and will never be simply to bear a child. And it is my dream. It is a dream of mine that we have a future where, if ever this is asked again, 30 seconds or whatever time limit that is given won't be enough to encapsulate all that it means to be a woman. Because to be a woman means to be everything and anything that we want to be. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Rina, for your beyond inspirational and insightful speech. Um, I feel more proud and more inspired to continue doing a course that's related to public field and law. What about you, partner?
Ayan, sa akin tumatak talaga yung quote na sinabi ni Miss Gina na to be a woman means to be everything and anything you want to be. Ayan, so siguro our discussion session ends here. Thank you so much po, Miss Rina Vivian Pineda, for sharing your stories, thoughts, and experiences, as well as for being here today for us for this wonderful event. And Audrey and I could see that your position as a commissioner has helped us how public servants prepare in addressing different challenges, especially those who directed at the youth, and what it means to become a person with the strength and position to develop and protect the people and environment.
I have to agree with you, partner. I also like to acknowledge that Commissioner Rena's takeaways about becoming a public servant and being a woman can be applied to everyone and not just to anyone who has a official position to help others. Now that we have shared our thoughts, we will now proceed to Commissioner Rena, the Certificate of Appreciation.
Allow me to read the certificate. We would like to present this award to Commissioner Rina Pineda. The Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Ms. Rina Vivian Pineda for her valuable contribution as a resource speaker in Kamalayang Lasalyano 2023. Hashtag Her Story Women in Public Service, given this 18th March of 2023, signed by Alizarine Camacho, the DLSL chairperson, Comelec, Ms. Maridel Zabala, the advisor of DLSL Comelec, Mr. Protasio Mea, the CSAO officer, and Mr. Rene Villanueva, the Student Services Director.
Ayan, so we are encouraging everyone to boost up the comment section with love and support for our guest speaker as we do a photo op. So we'd like to ask for your permission, Commissioner Rina, if you're able to take a photo with you all.
Sure, sure. Let's go.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Rina. Again, guys, napaka-insightful talaga ng kanyang speech. So now that we have finished our first session with her, we will now present to our second speaker. But before that, actually, let's do an icebreaker, everyone.
Ayan. So now that we have finished the first session with Commissioner Rina Pineda, we are now in preparation to proceed to have another sharing session with our second guest speaker. With this tayo magkakaroon muna ng another icebreaker para naman malaman natin if kayo bang makinig ng ating mga viewers. Ayan.
Yes, kailangan natin gisiin ang kanilang minds because this icebreaker will grant a prize to students who will win. Just like in our previous icebreaker, all you have to do is read a question and give your answer through our comment section. Whoever commented the correct answer based on our screen or system will win a prize of 50 pesos to be sent through GCash.
Ayan, for our first question, as seen sa ating screen, which month do we celebrate Women's Month in the Philippines? Ayan, boost up the comment section, guys. Okay, so... Ayan, hintayin natin yung mga nagko-comment.
Ayan, may nag-comment na Envelope Joff Malabanan, March daw. March nga ba ang ating Women's Month? Yes, tama po. March is the Women's Month in the Philippines. So the Philippine celebration of Women's Month is celebrated during March because of references to history during the early 1850s. Several women advocated for better working conditions and right to vote. Not only that, but it also celebrates and raises awareness about women's rights, gender equality, promote empowerment and leadership of women, and advocate for gender-responsive policies and programs.
Ayan. So, tingin ko ready na ang ating viewers sa ating second question for the icebreaker. So, dito guys, so, papainitin naman natin yung laban. So, gusto namin talaga naghahabulan tayo dito sa comments. So, mas maganda sana ibilisan natin. So, gawin natin 30 seconds na lang. Okay. So, for our second question, what is the new recurring theme of Women's Month from 2023 to 2028?
Parang ang hirap naman ng question na yan, partner. Kahit ako nahirapan sa pag-iisip ko, ano nga ba ang ating theme?
Ayan, ito may sumagot na pala sa ating comments. Ayan, talagang 3 beses niya talaga kinoment. Okay, ayan. Sabi ni Uncle of G of Malabanan, we for gender equality and inclusive society. Ayan. Sa tingin nyo ba, ito ang tamang sagot? Tingin mo ba, partner, yan ba talaga?
Wag na natin patagalin pa. I think tama ang sagot. Ayan. Congrats naman for winning 50 pesos or in total 100 pesos. Yan.
Ayan, siguro balikan muna natin yung mga napag-usapan natin kanina with Miss Rina. So kayo ba sa comments guys, sa mga viewers natin, ano sa tingin nyo ang mga natutunan ninyo? Ayan, siguro i-comment nyo na lang.
Kahit one phrase or one memorable quote na sinabi ni Commissioner Rina, ako siguro yung about women, the essence of being a woman is not about bearing a child. Napaka-memorable talaga nun sa akin because it proves to me that I am not just a birthing machine, di ba? Ikaw, partner, anong pinaka-memorable sa'yo?
Ayun, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, yung quote talaga na we can make it happen and to be a woman means to be everything and anything you want to be. And syempre, gusto ko rin yung natandaan mo, yung we are not a birth machine. So napakarami nating capabilities as women. So itong comment section natin, bakit kaya ayaw nila? Bigyan na rin kaya natin ng prize, partner ang pagsagot.
Ayan. I think tama kasi parang inspire sila sa pagsagot.
Ayan guys, so as reminder, ayan, pwede tayong manalo ng 50 pesos kapag tayo ay nanalo sa mga games natin today. Kaya huwag na kayong mahiya at i-claim nyo na ang inyong prize. Ayan.
Okay, so let's talk about our next speaker naman. So our second guest speaker, okay. Gusto niyo ba ng clue as to who our next speaker is? Sino ang guesses mo, partner?
Ayan, feeling ko si Nayon from Twice. Ayan, kayo ba? Ano sinong guesses nyo?
What is si Taylor Swift? Okay, everyone. Now, ito po ang ating next speaker. She served as the first female representative of the Youth Party's Kabataan in the House of Representatives in the Philippines for 2 terms, from 2016 to 2022 in the 17th and 18th Congress. As the principal author of the Philippine Free Public Higher Education Bill in 2017, she worked alongside Rise Education in pushing for a passage of a landmark law benefiting around 2 million college students each year since 2018. She authored 23 laws of national significance and at least 700 bills and resolutions, including the National Youth Day Act and the Sangguniang Kabataan Empowerment and the Compensation Act. She also served as the youngest of the Board of Trustees of the Philippines Legislations Company on Population and Development in the 18th Congress. Sarah, persistently managing stuttering, is the founding president and still an active member of the Philippine Stuttering Association, a support group for and by people with stuttering. At present, she is a community worker and policy consultant for various nonprofit or people's organizations advocating for meaningful legislation, youth and women's empowerment and welfare. Without further ado, let us give a warm welcome to Ms. Sarah Elago.
Hi everyone! Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Greetings of solidarity to all the organizers from the Dalasal Lipa Comelec. Uh, Kanina nabanggit yung twice, na sabi nga nila, set me free. Kaya we really have to work not only for empowerment, no, but the emancipation of women, not only in the Philippines, no, but everywhere around the world. Online, offline, kahit saan na may abuso, may diskriminasyon sa mga kababaihan, kinakailangan ng boses natin. So again, thank you for having me here again in Kamalayang Lasalyano to share my her story, our story of hope, as well as our collective aspirations for a truly independent and prosperous Philippines. As you all have heard from the introduction, I am the founding president of a support group for and by people with stuttering. So let me ask, how many of you here have heard about stuttering? Yeah, pwede kayo maglagay sa comments. May nakarinig na ba dito tungkol sa stuttering? The International Stuttering Association defines stuttering as a communication disorder in which the flow of speech is broken by repetitions, like this, or prolongations, like this, or abnormal stoppages, having no sound, of certain sound, of certain syllables. There may also be unusual facial and body movements associated with the efforts to speak. So stuttering may have different causes in different people. It is also referred to as stammering. I shared this because not many people know that I am a person, I am still a person living with stuttering. It's an incurable but well manageable speech impediment. So I would also say that I am always in constant daily struggle with myself because of this. It's mild now, but as a child, I still remember quite vividly how severely I stuttered. Exactly the reason why I have never ever imagined that I would become a member of Congress, much more a party list representative. I neither had the slightest interest, and to me, it is something unthinkable and super impossible because the work demands delivering speeches, engaging in debates, facilitating consultations and discussion, and speaking in spaces such as this, right? Before in class, I only got to participate in recitation through writing my answers and thoughts in a mini blackboard. It was only in third grade when I finally mustered the courage, nakaipon ng tapang, no, na ah, itapon na yung mini board, wala kong ginagamit, at magsalita. Speak and recite literally in class. And the rest is history. So if not for my family's and friends' support and guidance, I wouldn't have the will to survive bullying in school. They often reminded me, though the circumstances of my speech may never ever change, laging andito, my perspective can. Magsalita ka lang. Every speaking moment is an opportunity to learn and exercise fluency and hopefully manage and overcome stuttering. I also realized at a very early age, how trust and support, yung tiwala, yung suporta, these can really make a difference in a child or in a young person's life. And so as I worked on improving my fluency through joining the drama and bee clubs, I've always felt this very strong consciousness and desire to become a person who my family and friends can also talk to and rely on in times of adversity. Yun din yung ginawa namin sa Philippine Stuttering Association. As you can see here, it's a support group for people with stuttering, by people with stutter. It also promotes research, self-help techniques, and also effective therapies na for people with stuttering. Kung paano natin malalaman, kung paano ba makakapag-ambag sa suporta at sa pagtulong din sa ating mga kababayan na dumaranas nito. In high school, no, I was extremely bothered by having two sets of books. Sabi ko, sige, saan ba natin pwede na gamitin yung boses na to no, para makatulong din sa iba, para mahanap yung kanilang boses. Nung nakita ko na bakit lagi magkaiba yung set ng books namin. One free set from DepEd and one set we had to buy as the Science High School prescribed. To my mind, sobrang layo naman ng quality. No, naisip ko, high school pa lang, dahil sa cosmic difference ng curriculum, pwedeng iba na agad yung kapalaran namin dahil sa ginagamit naming libro. So fair to say, we had earned the privilege of admission in a science high school, but the difference should just be in the curriculum, yung quality of instruction, at pati yung mga reading materials should not be that far behind. So since then, I became more aware of how the setup of our educational system could somehow also sponsor and perpetuate inequalities. So in high school and in college, kumbaga dinala ko na to, na paano ba hindi magiging pribilehiyo lang para sa ilan yung kalidad ng edukasyon, pero mas matamasa ng mas marami natin mga kababayan, na mas maraming mga kabataan. In high school and in college, naghanap talaga tayo ng mga speaking opportunities na para ma-expand yung speaking horizons natin. Hindi lang bilang isang tao na may stuttering, pero mas marami pang sumama at sumuporta sa pagtindig para sa karapatan sa edukasyon. So marami sinalihan ng mga organizations. In college, I joined two official university performing orgs. Isang litrato siya yung UP Contributy to get additional financial assistance and scholarships. I signed up to as many performances as my schedule could accommodate because of mga libreng pagkain, tas mga racket allowances. It's only in my junior year that I was presented with the opportunity to run for the student elections as an independent candidate. Sabi ko pwede. No? At first, my aim had only been to cap my university life by leading high-impact, value-adding, student-led livelihood projects, especially for the urban poor communities near our college. Sabi ko, marami akong pwedeng matulong kasi marami akong natutunan mula sa UP Contributy o sa theater sa eskwelahan namin mula high school hanggang college. Akala ko ako yung maraming pwedeng matulong. Yun pala, yung karanasan ko sa campus leadership, ako pa yung sobrang natulungan. Because of the students' influence in shaping the public opinion and influencing the decisions of our policymakers and the national discourse, I realized that to be a student in a university demands that you speak up not only for the student sector, but the students as citizens of this nation. It demands that we persevere in adding our voices to the millions who are still experiencing multiple forms of abuse, discrimination, and exploitation. I realized then that our work can and will either serve or challenge the abuses in the status quo. And to me, awakening to this type of leadership is being responsible to the influence that we have on our constituents, our schoolmates, and our kababayans. Isa sa mga pinaka-natutunan ko noon ay yung pag-alala na sa lahat ng ito, sa lahat ng gusto nyong matapos ng mga programa, mga proyekto, hindi ka nag-iisa sa paghahangad na mas mapabuti ang ang kalagayan, ang kabuhayan ng ating mga kababayan. Kaya mas marami at nagkakaisa sa layunin, mas mabilis din natin na maisusulong ang iba't ibang tipo ng mga advokasya ng parang sasayaw ng katulad na nakikita niyo dito. No, kailangan talagang magtulungan at hindi pwedeng magkanya-kanya. So at the heart of our duty then as a youth party list, next slide please, is bringing the voice of the marginalized youth in Congress what we say and do today determines not only our future but of the next generation. So we presented this youth agenda. These are only the top 10 youth-related, youth-serving bills and resolutions, but this is part of a compendium of agenda, a comprehensive plan to advance meaningful legislation in Congress. Hindi lang pangkabataan. Nandyan yung responsive dapat sa sektor ng edukasyon na hindi lang pang estudyante. No? Andyan din yung mga ah, teachers natin or education support personnel, lahat ng stakeholders natin sa education system. Andyan din yung tungkol sa labor force, tungkol sa agrikultura, tungkol sa food sovereignty, lahat ng may kinalaman dun sa kinabukasan na ating mamanahin. On top of this youth agenda is upholding the right to quality and accessible education. At nakita niyo kanina kung gaano kalalim yung hugot ko. Talagang life-changing, no? Yung makita na pag ah, nakamit, no? Yung karapatan sa kalidad na edukasyon, kayang-kaya niya talagang baguhin yung buhay ng, ng isang tao. Kaya kung paano nang gagamitin yung ating mga talento, yung ating husay, para hindi lang tayo, pero mas marami tayong maiangat. Napakahalaga na layunin yun para sa mga kabataan. Bakit sa edukasyon? No? It's also vital and essential for the promotion and protection of all other human rights. So, other bills and resolutions filed in Congress include the Declaration of Safe Schools, guarantee of academic freedom, health and housing services in public universities and colleges, and the mandatory inclusion of subjects on human rights and peace education, as well as critical media and information literacy. During my first term in Congress, we filed a bill which aims to make higher education free and accessible to all, and likewise uphold the public character of schools and address the systemic ills of the education system. Ang dami nagsabi hindi kaya. No? We're very quick to dismiss our cause as we lobby youth and students in the House of Congress and even Malacanang. And now, we're very proud that millions of students are now benefiting from the passage of the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education, which we principally authored at the House of Representatives in 2017. Dalawa yung primaryang tagumpay dyan ng mga kabataan. First is on the inclusion of other school fees into subsidy coverage. Sa mga pampubliko kasi nating pamantasan at kolehiyo, yan paminsan or kadalasan yung mas malaki. Second is the inclusion of additional assistance for financially disadvantaged students, not only in public universities and colleges, but also for private higher education. So essentially, this expanded the scope and the overall coverage of who can access this type of subsidies and other financial assistance from the government. Next slide. Alright, so ang daming ginawa ng mga kabataan from participating in the dialogues, discussions, and hearings in Congress, from public fora. Next slide, please. Various photo op, maski yung mga fair nila themed on this campaign. Next. Yan. And even in the by count, diba? Talagang, kumbaga, focus tayo dun sa ating agenda na maisulong no, kung ano man yung mga dapat na ipasa. At hindi doon natatapos yung laban. Hindi lang sa napasa yung batas, no, kailangan talaga ito mabantayan. Kaya napakalaki din ang role ninyo no, para magbalita sa amin. Kamusta ba yung pagpapatupad ng batas na ito? Lalong-lalo na yung tertiary education subsidy na napapakinabangan din sa ating mga pribadong paaralan. Next slide. Okay, so we also have to enjoy other stakeholders in our university, from the presidents, other officials, and of course, our colleagues in Congress. Kasama yung mga kabataan na nangangatok sa pintuan nila, nangangalampag na kailangan natin ng pondo para dito. At kung kaya pong dagdagan, lalong-lalo nakakatapos ng mga school closures na marami pong mga bumabangon na na sektor, hindi lang sa edukasyon, no, pero yung iba pang affected ng economic crisis post-pandemic. Next slide. Next. Alright, so we also campaign for the Ligtas na Balik Eskwela, Student Aid Now. Ngayon, may mga challenges pa tayong kinakaharap, no, pero through continued dialogue, discussion, exchange of insights and good practices, hopefully we can successfully, 100% resume face-to-face classes, tapos make new modes of learning more inclusive for everyone, reminding the digital and income gap. Next, other laws passed, no? Ito muna, nabago dun sa ibang mga batas na naipasa natin. Yung last day ng Congress, we're able to push for the adoption of this resolution, expressing the sense of the House for climate, climate justice, strengthened implementation of the Philippine climate change and environmental sustainability laws, and for the developed countries to deliver on their commitments. This also includes the passage of the National Students' Day Act, National Campus Press Freedom Day Act, marami pa at naway may patupad natin sa ating mga eskwelahan at maging parte kayo mismo ng pagpapatupad ito, kasama ang inyong mga school officials. And then, ito, one of the laws which elapsed into law after the 2022 elections, the Sangguniang Kabataan Compensation and Empowerment Law. Ito yung short name na tawag ng youth representation noong 18th Congress, but the longer title is actually strengthening with the Sangguniang Kabataan, institutionalizing additional reforms to revitalize youth participation in local governments and by providing honorary other benefits and privileges, amending the SK Reform Act. So tawag din dito ng marami, reform sa SK Reform. Pero kung sa tingin natin kung kinakailangan, bakit hindi? No? Basta mapagbuti natin kung paano rin nagsisilbi yung mga kabataan sa ating pamahalaan at sa iba't ibang espasyo ng serbisyong publiko. Next, di na natin iisa-isahin ngayon, pero hinihikayat ko kayo na huwag tayong tumigil sa, next slide please, sa pagpasa lang ng batas. The two things, we have to follow through solidly on the proper implementation of the law and then secure substantial funding so that we're able to build the capacity at the local level to implement this law and let the communities know of the implementing rules, regulations, and guidelines for or in regard to this law. Next. All right. Some of the other related bills, the proposed bills, which has been refiled in the 19th Congress through the new representation, Representative Raul Manuel, is the People's Green New Deal. No? Ito yung komprehensibo na recovery package, hindi pa natin sinusukuan, naway bigyan ng prioridad, bigyan ng atensyon ng leadership ng House para sa pangkabuuan na pagbangon ng ating bayan mula dun sa epekto ng pandemya sa iba't ibang sektor. Sa mga manggagawa, sa mga magsasaka. At ito rin yung isa sa pwede nyo rin matalakay sa mga discussion o sa mga klase ninyo at pwede pang pagyamanin ang mga nilalaman. Next slide. Marami kang inspiration kung paano kumbaga na itutulak din yung mga nararapat na pag-usapan sa loob ng Kongreso. Ang isa ay yung matagumpay na kumpanya na #babae ako. Ito yung panahon na talagang pinag-uusapan yung sexism, misogyny in the world of work, in the workplace, especially with regard to public officials na being subject to misogyny, sexism, or sexist remarks, and even harassment. Yung pagtindig na hindi ako babae lang na nagsisilbi, pero babae ako. At ito yung pinagmumulan ng maraming inspirasyon na nanggaling ang mga babae sa mahabang kasaysayan ng tagumpay. Tagumpay laban sa abuso, tagumpay laban sa diskriminasyon, mga tagumpay ng pagpili ng sa ating susunod na leader, yung karapatan sa pagboto ng lahat, yung karapatan sa pantay na sahod, ngunit hindi doon natatapos yung ating kinakailangan bigyan ng boses at dapat pang maigiit. Thus, next slide please. We have to promote and ensure women's equal participation, meaningful representation in public service. In our constitution, no, napaka laki na nang binibigay na halaga no, sa role ng women, hindi lang sa mga kabataan, no, pagdating sa pagpapaunlad ng ating bayan dahil nga dun sa kasaysayan niya ng napakarami ng mga tagumpay. We're also founded no, on this movement of women no, pushing for the government no, to really prioritize this through public financing. We even had the GAD law, next slide, Gender and Development Law, initiating or requiring 5% of the government agencies that should be utilized on gender and development concerns. Hindi lang sa national, pero sa local level, na pwede nyo rin katukin mula sa sangguniang kabataan hanggang sa mga local development councils mo. Kung paano ba nila ginagamit ang mga pondo na ito. This is what Madeleine Albright say about women in power. Women in power can be counted on to raise issues that others overlook, to support ideas that others oppose, and to seek an end to abuses that others accept. Next, this can also lead to better informed decisions and outcomes. Na kumbaga, higit sa kalahati na ng populasyon, no, yung natitiyak mo na napapakinggan, kapag natitiyak mo na nagsasalita ang mga kababaihan. This is also aligned with various targets in pursuit of sustainable development goals, particularly on goal number 16, on peace, justice, and strong institutions. Yung hindi lang basta makapagsalita, pero mapakinggan yung kanilang mga nais maiparating. Next slide. This is also an effort to uphold international human rights standards and treaties as part of democratic governance. So, in our UDHR, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the right to partake in public affairs, and has been won and claimed and reclaimed in the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, our bid to our fight for equal rights of women as well as girls. So what are the issues and challenges that we have to face and address collectively with regard to this? In the most recent Global Gender Gap Index, next slide, yan, makita natin dito na kumbaga halos pantay tayo, one being the equal rate or score. Pero mababa tayo historically din no, dito sa political empowerment. So malinaw na hindi lang natin kailangan ng mas maraming babae sa numbers. No? But we need more women speaking up for women, women empowering women, women making change for women. Mga babae no, na talagang magsasalita no, para sa kalagayan ng mas maraming mga kababaihan. Let me just fix this for a moment.
Ayan, gusto lang din namin kamustahin ang ating audiences, kung nakikinig pa ba sila. So ayan, para sa ating listeners and audiences, makiki-comment naman ng inyong reaction sa ating webinar for this afternoon. Ayan, sabi ni Justin, very interesting daw. And sabi ni Mary, Purple Heart. Ayan. And sabi naman ni Kathleen, go for women empowerment talaga.
And now we're back. Sorry for the interruption. Uh, one of the bills na now a law that we passed in the Senate Congress is the free public internet access. Pero sabi nga ng mga kabataan, hindi lang natin kailangan ng abot kamay at abot kaya. Pero kailangan din natin ng mas mabilis, no? And mas ligtas, no, sa paggamit ng lahat. Uh, that's why we really have to work on genuine representation in all spaces, no, of public policy making. In and out of Congress, may it be in your local councils or your student government, napakahalaga ng boses ng bawat isa sa atin. So now let's discuss, the situation of women amid the pandemic. We've noted three major challenges um, brought about by the prolonged imposition of lockdown. First, on economic instability, that contribute to household tensions and trigger abusive behavior. Second is on restricted movements, absence of public transportation. Victims, survivors are constrained from seeking help, a lockdown of shelters. There's also limited access to necessary care and support services from the clinical management of trigger warning, rape and mental health issues, medical legal services and counseling, and delay in producing barangay protection orders. So uh, we note, no, that this is the one of the major issue that we have to address up to this day. No? Marami pa rin hindi nagbubukas na halimbawa yung mga ruta ng mga jeepney o kaya naman nananatili na maliit kumpara sa pangangailangan o yung funding ng ating public healthcare system, no, para tumugon sa napakaraming pangangailangan ng ating mga kababayan. Next is the factor of the economic situation. It's also a barrier to meaningful participation and genuine representation. Talagang pag nagpupunta kami sa mga komunidad, sa mga konsultahan ng mga kababaihan, ang number one na pinaparating ng ating mga kababayan, at isa tong bagay na kahit hindi nila sabihin, damang-dama rin natin, yung mahal na presyo ng mga bilihin, nagtataasan yung presyo ng pagkain, ng mga particular ng mga bilihin, sa palengke man or sa supermarkets. Kaya number one talaga yon na dapat tugunan, yung mataas na presyo ng bilihin. Paano ito nakaka-apekto dun sa kanilang participation? Marami dun sa mga nakakausap natin ng mga kababaihan sa mga communities, na most are solo parents. They had to work, no? Mga 2 8-hour shifts o kaya 2 part-time, no? O patong-patong yung mga trabaho nila sunod-sunod, no? Para lang kumita, no? Para magkaroon ng sapat, no? Bilang pang-suporta sa kanilang mga pamilya. This also includes, the very low minimum wage, not enough to sustain living, or not enough to provide subsistence for family, especially in the NCR. O lalong-lalo pa nga sa ibang mga regions, dahil mas maliit yung minimum wage doon. And this highly insecure economic situation makes women and girls more vulnerable to abuse and violence. Yan, no, yung isa sa mga dapat natin tugunan. Next is the overall situation of human rights and media freedom in the Philippines. The state of human rights defenders and journalists, uh, human rights violations against a backdrop of impunity also create a chilling effect that sponsors hate and discrimination and puts the lives of girls and young women at risk. And so there's terror tagging. If you're speaking up on issue, uh, hindi natin dapat palagpasin. So dapat kung may nanote tayo na pag nagsalita ka, biglang sasabihan ka ng mga walang batayan ng mga parata, kailangan natin ma-report sa Commission on Human Rights o kailangan natin ma-report sa representation natin sa district man yan or sa party list. Na para tiyakin na we're able to uphold our fundamental freedoms, our freedom of expression, our free speech that comes absolutely necessary when there's abuse, when there's corruption, when there's negligence, when there's incompetence of those officials who were entrusted with power to lead us to survive and emerge better from the COVID-19 pandemic. Ngayon na yung panahon na kumbaga mas kailangan natin na hindi lang magtulungan pero magsuportahan ng boses ng bawat isa na nagsasalita kung ano pa yung kailangan, ano pa yung mga pwede natin itulong, at ano ba yung mga pwede natin bigyan ng prioridad. Next slide. The situation of environment and climate and land defenders. Marami kaming nakakausap sa mga schools, no? Pwede rin kayo magkwento ng situation sa Dela Salipa, no? Yung lahat tayo, syempre, parang, naku, paano ako mag-iipon ngayon? Kung sa susunod, ano na, nakalubog na yung Maynila, no? By 2040, di ba, Manila is one of the metropolis na listed na very prone to flooding because of extreme weather events. So, yung climate emergency, no, kumbaga hindi lang to salita sa atin. No? This really spells what the future will be like for us. No? Kaya hindi mo maiwasan na pagkabataan ka, magsasalita ka tungkol sa klima, magsasalita ka tungkol sa kalikasan. Pero kung ganito yung figures na hinaharap sa atin, di ba? Parang wag na, kaya na yan ng mga envy groups, no? Or talagang mag-iisip ka pa no? Paano pa natin gagawin na safer for all yung ganitong advocacy work. Hindi nga dapat natin siya pinag-uusapan no? Kasi basic right yun no? To be able to speak up, the right to be heard, the right to participate in various public processes that affect the environment, the climate, and our future. Next slide. There's also this survey from the Interparliamentary Union that found that female parliamentarians viewed lack of finance as a more significant deterrent to entering politics than their male counterparts did. Next slide. Another study reports that 81.8% of survey participants have experienced some form of psychological violence, and among them, some 44% said they had received threats of death, rape, beatings, or abduction during their parliamentary terms, including threats to kidnap or kill their children. Kumbaga, mahirap nang manalo kasi nagiging deterrent din yung lack of financing and the resources to actually win bid in the elections. Pero pag nanalo ka, dagdag din yung ganitong tipo ng mga threats sa mga kababaihan na members ng Congress sa buong mundo. Next slide. Hindi na tayo lalayo sa Pilipinas. This report na from the Department of Journalism and UP College of Mass Communication on cyber misogyny, especially those directed sa mga women activists, women human rights defenders, and politicians. So hindi biro yung nakikita niyo dito na tipo ng mga threats na natatanggap ng mga babae na politiko across all party lines. Merong mga mas nakakatanggap ng ganitong tipo ng threats na nagiging target. Halimbawa, at isa sa talagang pinag-aaralan natin kung paano magkakaroon ng accountability, yung mga attacks kay former Senator Laila de Lima, na kinakampanya din natin na mapalaya na agad. Isipin niyo yun, parang more than 6 years na umabot na ng 6 na taon siya na unjustly uh, incarcerated. Kaya, kumbaga yung ganitong mga tipo ng situation, yung nakaka-apekto din at may chilling effect siya dun sa mga kababaihan na nagsasalita. Next slide. As I've also said time and again, when lawmakers are attacked, it can weaken the parliament's representativity. So instead of letting all these threats and intimidation cower us into silence, we must push back and we are counting on your support and solidarity. Napakahalaga ng suporta ng bawat isa sa atin. Dahil may pwede tayong gawin. At kumbaga, ah, katulad ng nabanggit natin kanina, marami na tayong nasimulan na pwede pa nating palakasin. Next slide. On our present efforts on women's health and welfare, we have to exercise the strengthened oversight and budget on the following laws. Ito talagang sama-sama na sinulong ng mas maraming mga miyembro sa loob ng House of Representatives at pati na sa Senado. Yung panalo sa prohibition ng child marriage, raising the age of sexual consent, anti-online sexual abuse and exploitation of children, the strengthened Philippine HIV and AIDS Policy Act, and the National Mental Health Law. Again, two things, proper implementation and substantial financing. As regards proposed legislation, we're also batting for the passage of the prevention of adolescent pregnancy that could strengthen and widen the provision of services and social protection to adolescent and teenage parents. These are still pending before the Philippine Congress, so we hope that we can continue to count on you, De La Salle Pa, to support this bill. We've also filed amendments to the Safe Spaces #Bawal Bastos law to include or to expand the workplace to the world of work. Lahat ng may kinalaman sa trabaho mo, online man yan, or basta yung pagkukommute o yung pagbiyahe mo papunta sa trabaho, kasama yan sa dapat ligtas ka. Dapat ligtas na espasyo para sa lahat sa atin. Next slide. We also campaigned for this manifesto on pandemic response and recovery to ensure equal representation in all post-COVID-19 planning and decision making. Next, ito may kinalaman sa ating boses, the campaign to defend Filipino women, defend the defenders, stand up for human rights. Good news na ipasa na sa committee ang Human Rights Defenders Bill. Hopefully, we see through the passage of this bill to protect all human rights defenders against discrimination, against vilification. Tayo ay sama-sama na tumindig para sa karapatang pantao. Next slide. Isa pa sa mga major campaigns ngayon ng mga kababaihan, nasa parte ko din, pinag-aaralan ko pa kung paano ba pwedeng makapag-ambag is on the plight of our Filipino comfort women. Marami dito talagang nanawagan pa rin ng hustisya, ng suporta, lalong-lalo na marami sa kanila nakakasali pa rin sila sa ganitong mga activities, like this Lila Filipino Ringing of the Bells activity. Pero sa kabila ng kanilang edad, sa kabila ng kanilang pagkasakit. Kaya kinakailangan let's add our voice to their call for us to rise for peace, fight for justice, and say no to any form of wars of aggression. Next is to continue the push for a transformative agenda on gender equality and equal opportunities and treatment for all in the world of work. Particular calls on this fight is next to implement family support, policies for increasing women's labor force participation rates, use quotas or targets to increase women on corporate boards or in public service. So, pwede natin yan gawin. Pero again, hindi lang dapat numero yung ating tignan, pero yung advokasya, yung track record, yung plataforma ng mga kumakandidato. Next is to plan purposefully to implement measures to achieve gender equality. Apart from targeted quotas, pwede rin maternity and paternity parental leave. No, sa atin, tagumpay ng expanded maternity leave. No? Pero ang isa sa mga hinaharap natin ngayon na challenge, ginagamit pa yung ganitong tipo ng law no, para hindi mag-hire ng mga babae. No? So, ito yung mga na kumbaga kailangan pa natin bantayan. Next, increased childcare support, freedom from discrimination and zero tolerance of sexual harassment, the provision of career guidance and development of opportunities na for more women na from uh, various backgrounds. So the aim is to not only build back better, but to build back fairer. So we're also pushing for this ILO convention. This is a binding international treaty creating obligations for ratifying states to make the world of work free from any form of violence and harassment. It's called the Convention number 190 of the International Labor Organization. Ang kailangan nyo lang tandaan, itong four characters na ito, C190, na siyang pangunahing tratado na naipasa na sa House of Representatives na gusto nating maratipikahan ng ating pamahalaan. Ngayon na. Next slide. So there are four calls under this hashtag Ratify C190 campaign. First is to expand definition of workplace to cover the world of work. Second is to strengthen mechanisms for redress and remedies. Maraming nakakaranas ng abuso lalo na sa lugar ng trabaho o sa loob ng eskwelahan. Talagang nagsasabi na natatakot mag-report o kaya wala namang nangyayari. No? Ipakita natin na yung sistema mag-work para sa kanila at magbibigay ng proteksyon para sa mga victim survivors ng violence and harassment. Third is to address the violence and harassment in the informal economy. Dapat kasali rin ito dahil malaking porsyento ng ating ekonomiya at mga manggagawa nasa informal sector. And lastly, for all of us to institutionalize and strengthen awareness raising in all levels. Marami pa kayong pag-aaralan na may kinalaman sa C190 tungkol sa lahat ng natalakay natin. At natitiyak naman ako na hindi dito matatapos ang bubuksan na opportunity ng DLSL Comelec na para sama-sama tayo na hindi lang mamulat, pero may gawin na para makapag-ambag pa sa ating bayan. So let us all remember that youth and women are part of broader movements for people's empowerment and promotion of rights and democracy. Tayo ay kasali at kasama sa paghahangad ng pagtindig sa karapatan at sa demokrasya sa ating bansa. And empowering the youth and letting you guys take the lead, as always, sa Kamalayang Lasalyano, can truly break cycles of poverty, abuse and discrimination, as well as produce benefits that are enjoyed for generations. When we empower women and girls, we empower everyone. So hashtag digital, hashtag defend Filipino women, hashtag defend the defenders, yung ipapalaganap natin, hindi lang online, pero sa ating mga komunidad, we have to continue to raise our voice for equal power now. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig.
Ayan, and would like to thank our audience for actively commenting and supporting our event. So dito po sa comments, sabi ni Don Gabriel Calosa, lalo pong nag-alab ang aking pag-ibig sa bansa at ang patuloy na pagsulong. Yes, and hindi lamang mamulat at umaksyon.
And again, thank you so much, Ms. Sarah Elago, for giving us an insight on what it really takes to be a formidable women leader in the field of public service. Take the lead talaga, no, ika nga, partner. As a student under a pre-law course myself, her sentiments really resonated with me. And with that, I'd also like to mention my friend, Mary Maxine Platon, who sees Ms. Sarah Elago as an inspiration for pursuing law. We appreciate your advocacy on the awareness to stuttering, lawmaking, and siding with the marginalized. It makes me proud as a young Filipina to see through the changes we are slowly achieving thanks to leaders like Ms. Alago. And Ms. Alago, we'd like to assure you that everything you have shared will have a great impact on us in the Lasallian community.
And I'd also like to share na ang pinaka-tumatak po talaga sa akin is what we do today will define the future of young women. So napaka-empowering po nito because it tells us that we have the power to eradicate inequality and it calls us women to make changes for women. So it is also nice to get a perspective of how women participate in the political field and make a voice to address issues to create changes in the society. I'd also like to commend Ms. Alago for sharing her takeaways of becoming a public servant. It is no easy task, but if you have the heart and passion to help people, there is a way. So from here, we are now going to proceed to present to Ms. Sarah Alaga the Certificate of Appreciation.
Ayan, so let me read the certificate of appreciation. The following award is given to Ms. Sarah Jane J. Elago for her valuable contribution as a resource speaker in Kamalayang Lasalyano 2023, hashtag her story, Women in Public Service, given this 18th of March 2023. Signed by Ms. Eliza Rain V. Camacho, the chairperson of De La Salle Comelec, Ms. Maridel Zavala, the advisor of De La Salle Comelec, Mr. Patasha Maya, the College of Student Activities Office Officer, and Mr. Rene Villanueva, Student Services Director.
And with that, we would like to give our appreciation to our guest speaker, Ms. Sara Elago, once again for accepting to be our guest here in Kamalayang Lasalyano. It is a great honor to celebrate Women's Month with you along with the DLSL community. At dahil gusto namin maging maganda ang ating celebration, we are hoping for the participants to once again hype up the comment section with love and appreciation for Ms. Sara Elago as we do our photo op. Ayan, Ms. Sara, pwede po ba tayo mag-picture po?
Yes, maraming salamat muli at Happy Women's Month, everyone.
Ayan, picture po tayo. 1, 2. Ayan, wakil. Ayan. Thank you, Miss Sarah. You know, Audrey, it feels so heartwarming that we have women who are understanding and courageous enough to serve and do what needs to be done for the betterment of our people and environment. So I hope that everything Ms. Pineda and Ms. Alago shared with us today will inspire our attendees in becoming good leaders.
That's right, Eliza. And it's also nice that we are able to honor these women's achievements. This is actually the purpose of Women's Month. It's celebrating the contributions of women to different industries and fields, the progression of their rights and significance in becoming important advocates to equality and inclusivity.
Ayan, so before we have our closing remarks, meron kaming last na pasabog for you all. Ito na ang pinakahihintay ninyo na icebreaker and we will be giving our last two winners a cash prize of 50 pesos to be sent through GCash. Just like in our previous icebreakers, all you have to do is read the question presented to our screen and give your answer right away sa ating comment section. So once again, we will only give 30 seconds para sa ating participants to join this game. So the student who will give the correct answer based sa aming system will have the prize. So here we go. Ayan, partner, gusto mo bang basahin ang ating icebreaker?
Of course, partner. So let's get this icebreaker started. So first question, when and who did our country elect as its first female president? Sino kaya ito?
Bilisan nyo guys, sayang ang 50 pesos. Again, when and who did our country elect its first female president?
Kahit year lang po, okay lang.
Ayan, nauna na sa ating game. Ayan, kay Miss Kathleen, sabi niya, 1986, Corazon Aquino. Ayan, tama kaya si partner.
Okay, ready na ba kayo for our second icebreaker? I think the comment section is ready. So now for our second question. She is the first Filipina to win the Nobel Peace Prize in 2021. Ooh, this is interesting, partner. Who do you think it is? I think this made the news, no? Diba? Kasi napaka-big achievement nito. Who do you think that is, partner?
Ayan, ako partner, parang gusto kong ipaubaya na lang sa ating viewers kasi sayang 50 pesos. Comment guys, ang inyong sagot. Ayan, so may sumagot na, sabi ni Don Gabriel Calosa, Maria Reza. Tama kaya to partner?
Rappler Queen talaga. And with that, congratulations sa ating mga winners for our last icebreaker session. Grabe nakakatuwa na ating participants ay feel ko ang kanilang energy in typing. And with that, we would like for you guys to remember the names of these women that you type as your answers. These women are also part of our Philippine history, or should I say Philippine her story, and they are known to be figures in advocating peace, justice, and faith.
I have to agree with you dyan, partner, and we also have to share this with our viewers na hindi lang dapat on the month of March na celebrate ang significance ng mga babae sa ating kapaligiran and for that why they did for the common good. It should also not be the only time where their rights for equality and exclusivity are recognized. So Women's Month should be treated na parang isa-celebrate natin ito araw-araw kaya we should respect women simply because they are human.
Sobrang ganda ng sinabi mo dyan, partner. And now I would like to give you the floor as you do your closing remarks.
And as we conclude this year's Kamalayang Lasalyano, I want to take a moment to express my appreciation to the incredible women who participated, Ms. Sara Alago and Commissioner Rina Pineda, who have participated and contributed to this event. Your voices and experiences have been inspiring and insightful, reminding us of women's power and importance in our society. And of course, to everyone who streamed with us and made this event a success. So let's use this webinar as a springboard to continue the important conversations and actions that are necessary to create a more just and equal world. Let us continue to elevate the voices of women, celebrate their achievements, and work together to break down the barriers that prevent them from realizing their full potential. Thank you again to all the amazing women who have joined us today and to all those who continue to fight for gender equality. Together, we can create a world where every woman has the opportunity to thrive and succeed.
Thank you so much, our chairperson, for your closing remarks. So we would like to inform the students who are still watching that we will be posting an evaluation link after the end of this program. So make sure to answer it to receive a certificate of appreciation and attendance. And with that, we will now have our closing prayer, followed by the singing of our alma mater. Thank you, everyone.
Lord, as this event comes to an end, we thank you for the guidance you have given us. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to learn and discover. We pray that we may use this knowledge for good to become good examples of your love and wisdom. Amen.
Hail, hail, alma mater, hail to De La Salle. We'll hold your banner high and bright, a shield of green and white. We'll fight to keep your glory bright, and never shall we fail. Hail to be our alma mater, hail, hail, hail. Hail, hail, alma
Ayan, at dito na po nagtatapos ang Kamalayang Lasalyano. Thank you so much to the students who attended our event to celebrate Women's Month. So we hope you gain various takeaways and learning from our guest speakers and use those to become a significant member and leader to our community. Before giving you the evaluation link, we would like to inform all the winners that the icebreaker round to scan the QR code to redeem your cash prize. Ayan. Sa mga winners po kanina, scan na lang po ng ating QR code or access through our link flash sa ating sticker below.
And with that, to our young women attendees, happy Women's Month to you. Happy Women's Month to you, partner. Our QR code for evaluation is finally up now on your screens. So make sure to scan and answer the form within 15 minutes as this will immediately close. Again, this has been Audrey Panalican, the Secretary for the Vice Chairperson of Institutional Affairs of De La Salle Comelec, now signing off.
And I'm Eliza Camacho, the chairperson of DLSL Comelec, and thank you for attending. See you next time.